Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Cassandra, and today I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 self-care practices. Self-care is something that I take very seriously, and it's a subject I've really had to make conscious choices around over the past few years. It's something I think about very regularly and do prioritize. Now, it doesn't mean that I am amazing at doing every single thing on this list very consistently, but with time, I have gotten better at prioritizing what I know that I need. While a lot of these things have physical benefits, the reality is I do it so I can stay mentally and emotionally stable, balanced, and feeling really good. So in no particular order, the first self-care practice I want to talk about is something that I do on a weekly basis, and these are like my self-care luxurious baths. And I'll have a video that takes you through this on YouTube as well. I'm going to show you everything I do, but once a week at least, I like to give myself a really nice bath experience. So it's not always, possible, but whenever I can, I like to give myself like an hour and a half in a bath, and I really indulge all five senses. So I'll light candles and have oils and read and take some time for myself. It really allows me to recharge my batteries and to feel renewed, and it just lifts my spirits up overall. Water is very healing in so many ways, and it can be really therapeutic to think of water as washing things out of you. So not only are you, of course, physically washing yourself and getting rid of, any dirt or anything like that, but you can also imagine yourself being washed away from all stress, from all negativity, from all these things that you might be carrying over or carrying through with you throughout the day that are no longer serving you. So for me, self-care and all of these tips and tools and practices are all methods for me to pause and get out of my head and back into my body. That's really where I get in the most trouble, is that I'm a very fast-paced person. I tend to be juggling a lot of things at the same time, and I kind of carry it all in my head. And this is how I get in these anxiety spirals. So the number one way for me to get out of those is to focus back on the body. So the second self-care practice is what I do the most, so on a most regular basis, and that is I go outside every single day for a walk. And it's actually 2 walks. Before I had a dog, I would just go by myself for like a half hour, 45 minutes at lunch. But now I take the dog with me, little Luna, and we go for 2 walks for about 30 to 40 minutes each time. Getting vitamin D has been a huge benefit for me. I live in Ottawa, Canada. The winters are long, they are harsh, and it stays dark really long. So any kind of sun exposure I can get really helps me. So for me, going outside, moving, getting my heart rate up, and also doing it outdoors where there's fresh air, no matter what the weather, whether it's pouring rain or whether it's a snowstorm, I am going outside every single day and I am walking. This year, I invested in getting some really good winter gear so that I would have no excuses, because I notice it's a huge change in the way I feel and the way I interact with others. It's by far been one of the most beneficial things I've done is to make it like a sacred spiritual practice that every single day I go outside, I get some sunshine, even on days that are really cloudy or really rainy. I just try to get a little bit of vitamin D, and I exercise outdoors. These long walks are really good at quieting my mind, and they also seem to boost my creativity quite a bit. My third self-care practice is routine. I have found that when I don't have a consistent time to wake up or to go to bed, I'm all over the place and I get that much more stressed out, or it's a lot easier for me to feel overwhelmed or anxious or stressed out. So I always try to wake up sometime between 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and I go to bed. Usually I'm in bed between 9:30 to 10:30 at night. And I try to be pretty consistent with that. It's really important for me that I maintain that rhythm. It's how I operate the best. And other than when I wake up and when I go to sleep, I also find that if I have structure around when I work and when I don't work, that's even better for me. So I'm in a different situation. Most people are in like a 9-to-5 type of job where it's really clear when they should be working and when they should just be at home and relaxing. But I work for myself and I work from home. So it's very tempting to kind of never stop and to just work all the time when I'm at home. And I did fall into that trap the first year or so of working for myself and working from home. but now I've really had to set boundaries for myself. So 5 p.m., you know, when my now fiance gets home from work, I also stop working. So I'll start a little bit earlier, but around 5:30 p.m., no more work for me. Even though it is tempting for me to keep going, it's just too much for my brain. It's too overwhelming. I need to really create boundaries and routine around when I wake up, when I start work, when I end work, and when I go to bed. So that has been really beneficial for me. The fourth thing I do, and probably what I am the worst at being consistent with, and I have a little bit of shame even around talking about it because it feels like it should be what I'm best at, but honestly, it's going to yoga class and also dance class. So I used to be a dancer and I still dance. But those are the best things for me. And you might think you're a yoga teacher. How are you not doing yoga all of the time? And while I might do a little bit of yoga at home, I very rarely make it out to public yoga classes, and I love public yoga classes. So this year I've really been trying to put more of an effort to go to at least one weekly yoga class. It has the added benefit, I don't know, just something about getting out of the house, being in a group setting, and being able to be guided by another teacher feels really, really, really good. So practicing at home on your own is awesome. I'm certainly not going to knock it, and I do it quite a bit. But it is really nice for me to let another teacher do the work. You know, when I'm doing it by myself, I have to plan the class. I have to think about what I'm going to do next. It's harder for me to disconnect that way and connect to my body. I'm still staying in my mind because I'm planning things. So if I'm able to go to a yoga class, it's easier for me to get out of my mind and again into my body. Number 5 is taking care of myself with the help of like professionals. So I try to get a massage or to go to athletic therapy once a month. Just because I am a yoga teacher and I do use my body in a lot of ways, it's important for me to kind of maintain that. And now I try to book them ahead of time so that I have no choice but to go, because I don't know if you guys are like this, but for me, when my mental health is not doing that great, when I'm feeling, you know, I'm in those like anxiety spirals or I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I feel like I'm too busy to do these self-care practices. I feel like there's no time for me to go get a massage. There's no time for me to go to athletic therapy. And that's of course just an illusion. It's not true, but those thoughts are really powerful at the time and they tend to win more often than not. So now I know that when I'm feeling really good, that's when I need to plan and schedule my self-care practices ahead of time. So I like to book my massages well in advance, and I like to book my athletic therapy or physiotherapy well in advance, and I try to keep up with it about once a month. Number 6 is something that I've just recently started doing again, and that's art. I used to do art all the time when I was little, and even in high school, that's what I specialized in. I don't necessarily prefer one form of art more than the other. Just the act of drawing or painting or sculpting or doing something and creating something is so therapeutic. And again, it gets me out of my head and really gets me in touch with the creative process and gets me in touch with my body. So last year I signed up for an adult art class. I hadn't done art in years, and I just started going, you know, once a week. And it was so fun to, again, have time dedicated in my schedule where I was able to like use art as an outlet. And I kept telling myself, I'm too busy, there's no time, but there is time. You just have to prioritize it. You know, you're never gonna find the time to do these things. You have to make the time to do these things. So now I am no longer taking an art class, but I do art by myself at home. And I try to do it once or twice a week, just for an hour. You know, it doesn't have to be that much longer, but I'm really into like marker and Sharpie art right now. I don't know why, it's just like what I prefer, but I try to do that, and that's been super helpful, super therapeutic. I love it. Highly recommend, even if you don't think of yourself as an artistic person. Like now they make a lot of adult coloring books. So if you don't think you're artistic enough to, you know, draw or paint on your own, that's such a good alternative. It's so much fun, and it's a great way to kind of, you know, dip your toe in the water of art if you're not sure if it's for you. But I highly recommend it. It's been a tremendous help for me in the past. The 7th thing I've done, which might be a little bit of a shock just due to the nature of my work and what I do professionally, I really reduced my presence on social media. And I used to feel like I had to be on social media all the time because this is where, you know, this is how you guys can connect with me, and this is how I can connect to other YouTubers and other yoga teachers and all this kind of stuff. But honestly, it was no good. And I see a huge correlation in the amount of stress I feel with the amount of social media I'm consuming. I had to go and do a huge purge, especially on Instagram, but also on YouTube and even Facebook, where I unfriended people who just shouldn't have been friends with me to begin with, or we've lost touch. There's no reason for them to clutter my feed. I unfollowed a ton of people on Instagram who always made me feel not good enough or unworthy, or I felt like I was always comparing myself to them. Like, no more of that garbage. So I just unfollow those people. When I'm worrying about, or when I'm aware of what everyone else is doing, it makes me sometimes second guess myself, or sometimes it'll make me compare myself to others. Or more often than not, I find it just dilutes my creativity. It's like everyone ends up kind of doing the same thing. You know, you look on YouTube and it's like everyone has the same videos up, or you look on Instagram and everyone's posting about the same stuff. And it's like, I just don't want to do that anymore. So I am posting way less on Instagram, way less. Reducing my social media usage has helped my mental health and my emotional health so much. I highly recommend it. Do a detox, do a purge. Any account that doesn't make you feel good, you shouldn't be following them. You know, no matter what you think who they are, or, you know, no matter how positive they're supposed to be, if it doesn't feel good, it's not worth it. Don't do it to yourself. Number 8, I say no a lot. I used to say yes to everything and yes to everyone, or I would say maybe only because I knew I didn't want to do it, but I felt bad and guilty about saying no. So I would say maybe, and then I'd get guilted into it and I'd do it, or I'd cancel last minute and feel so bad about it. So now I just say no. I say no all the time, and I don't feel a need to explain myself. I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I'm unable to take this on. I'm sorry, I can't go out with you tonight. I kind of just want to stay home. I am totally fine now saying no to friends, saying no to family, saying no to business partnerships, saying no to projects, and not feeling the need to justify or explain myself, or, you know, provide a bunch of reasons why I'm saying no. You're allowed to just say no because it's good for you to say no. And it's taking me a long time to get there, to get to a point where I am comfortable turning people down, potentially disappointing people, maybe having a little bit of pushback. But who cares? Like, my mental health is so much more important than all of those things. And if other people give you a really hard time about it, well, you know, maybe you can use it as an opportunity to reflect on that relationship and see if they really have your best interest at heart. I'm allowed to say no. You're allowed to say no. Your boundaries can be whatever you want your boundaries to be. You don't owe anyone an explanation. And there's, of course, a way to say no politely and no in a way that respects the other person. And you can also offer alternatives as well if you need to. Okay, number 9 is maybe a little bit strange and might seem a little bit vain to people, but one of the ways that I practice self-care the most is to have a really solid skincare routine morning and night, and also to do my makeup and get dressed every single day. So I obviously, like, everyone has to get dressed, but I mean, like, put a little bit of effort into my appearance every single day. So I used to work for the government, and everyone had to look put together, you know. Of course I would put makeup on in the morning, and of course I would do my hair and like put some time and thought into my outfit. But once I started working from home, that went all the way down into the gutter. It got so much easier to just stay in my pajamas, and I would think, like, what's the point of putting on makeup? No one's even gonna see me today, or I'll just, you know, live in my yoga pants. I mean, I still kind of live in yoga pants, but I put a little bit more thought into the outfit itself. And at first that felt fine, you know, it felt fine because I was like, I'm just at home, who cares? You know, Luna and my cats don't care what I look like, you know, it's fine. But I also noticed that as I did that and as the months went on, I kind of got a little depressed, you know. There's something really beautiful that happens when you care about your appearance. You feel better about yourself. And actually, I shouldn't say that for everyone, but for me, it's definitely the case. I feel so much better once I have a little bit of makeup on, once I've put, you know, a few pieces of jewelry, once I've like put an outfit on that matches, or once I've done something with my hair. It's not like I have to do all of those things every single day, but putting a little bit of effort into my appearance on a consistent, regular basis has done so much for my self-esteem. It helps me feel more professional as well during the day. I feel like I take myself more seriously, and I take my work more seriously. It's still something I have to motivate myself to do time and time again, because sometimes I'm like, who cares? I'm just gonna stay in my pajamas. But I do, for like 95% of the time, I would say now, like I do make the effort to groom myself a little bit more and just make myself feel good overall. And if you work from home and you're feeling a little bit anxious or a little bit depressed, I would say to start with your outer appearance. I know it sounds so vain and so superficial, but for me, it's just the reality. When I look good, I feel good, and it's an immediate mood booster. So I do make it a priority now. If you've made it to the end, number 10 is the most important self-care tip. If you take nothing else from this video, I hope this is what you are going to take away. My most important self-care tip is therapy. Just regular talk therapy with a therapist, psychotherapist. I truly feel like it has enriched my life in so many ways. It has helped me in so many ways, and I wish more people embraced therapy and that there was less stigma around it. So I have found a therapist that I love, that I trust, that really seems to get me, which is a huge piece of the puzzle with therapy. You know, if the fit isn't right with the therapist, you're not really going to get the benefits that you need from it. I feel like therapy is like getting an oil change for your car. You just need to do it for maintenance. Like, I wish I could like pay for everyone's therapy out in the world, because I feel like the world would be such a better place. The number one self-care practice I would recommend to the entire world, no matter who you are and where you are. And of course, I know that therapy is a little bit of a luxury, you know, in North America. It's not cheap, guys. Like, it can be expensive. You might be able to get free therapy if you're like a student, or some people do like a sliding scale, but I understand that it is an investment. And what I would say is that don't think that you need therapy, you know, to budget for it for once a week for the rest of your life. It's worth it to just put a little bit of money aside to save up for one session with a therapist, and then save up again until you can pay for another session. It's unbelievable how much you can actually get done in one session in 1 hour. That was a misconception I think I had originally. I was like, oh, what's the point of talking for an hour? Nothing's even gonna get resolved. But that's not the way therapy works. The thing is, you'll talk with the therapist maybe for like, you know, between 45 minutes to 90 minutes. But once you leave that therapist's office, you're going to think about all of the things that you've done, or all the things that you've talked about in that hour for the next week, for the next month. So you do keep doing the work by yourself on your own, or with your friends and family, even after the session is over. So the effects definitely linger. You can get so much out of just one session, which is why I really encourage people to do it. Okay, listen, I have talked so much. I'm so sorry that this video was really long, but I had a lot to say. This is a topic I'm very passionate about, and I didn't want to make it like so superficial that there was nothing actually shared and, you know, no value actually given. So thank you to everyone who has made it till the end of this video. I would love to know, you know, what you think about this. Are these practices that you do already? Are you going to incorporate some of the ones that I've listed into your routines and, you know, your day-to-day lives? And is there anything that you think I've missed, you know, other forms of self-care that you love, that you do regularly, that have really benefited you? Okay, now I'm really done. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to this video. Please do leave me a comment down below, share with me what you thought, and subscribe to my channel if you don't already. I would love to share more of this side of me. If you have questions or other suggestions of videos that are more personal that you would like to see on my channel, let me know, and I would love to make it for you. Thank you all so much. Namaste.